Most owners think they're fluent in dog behavior. We see a wag and assume it's friendly. We see a belly and assume rub me. We see a face lick and call it love. Then the dog reacts and everyone says it came out of nowhere. It didn't. You just missed the actual signal. So today we're breaking down 9 common dog behaviors that fool almost everyone and what they actually mean. And stick around for the smile because it's one of the most misunderstood signals dogs have. But before we get to that, let's start with the one that embarrasses owners fast. Number 1, humping isn't dominance most of the time. Nothing makes a room awkward faster than a dog that suddenly starts humping in the middle of a greeting. And the mistake owners make is turning it into a personality story. He's dominant. He's being gross. He's trying to start something. Most of the time, it's simpler. The dog is overloaded. The energy spikes, the dog gets too keyed up, and mounting becomes the quickest outlet they've got. You'll see it when guests first walk in, when play tips from fun to frantic, or when everything is loud and crowded and your dog is running hot. If you want the giveaway, look at the timing. When it shows up right at the peak of excitement, it's usually a regulation problem, not a power move. Treat it as information, not a character flaw. When you read it that way, the whole situation gets easier to handle because you stop arguing with the story and start responding to what the dog is actually feeling. Number 2, the tail wag that gets people bit. If dogs had a prank department, tail wagging would be their best work because nothing makes humans drop their guard faster than a wag. Even when the rest of the dog is practically shouting, "Give me space!" Here's the part owners miss. Wagging is not a synonym for friendly. It's the sign the dog is switched on. And switched on can be excited, anxious, tense, or ready to pop. A loose wag that pulls the whole body into a goofy wiggle is one thing. A high, stiff wag that barely moves the hips is another. Add a forward lean, a tight mouth, eyes locked in and ears pinned or sharply forward, and that wag is not a welcome sign. Instead, it's intensity wearing a friendly costume. Once you learn to read wag style, you stop getting fooled by the tail and start reading the dog. And if you think that's confusing, wait until you see what belly up really means. Number 3, the belly trap. A dog rolls over and shows their belly, and suddenly every human turns into a belly rub gambler. We reach in like it's always a green light, because that's the story we've been told. Belly up equals please pet me. Sometimes that's true. Other times, it's a dog trying to keep things calm by making themselves look non-threatening. There are 2 versions that look similar if you only watch the stomach. The relaxed version comes with a loose, wiggly body and a soft face that stays easy when you move closer. The other version is a freeze. The dog goes still, the mouth tightens, the eyes track you without turning the head, and the body looks braced instead of inviting. In that moment, touching can turn a please stop into a panicked reaction. So belly up isn't one message, it's context and tension. Read the whole dog, not the pose, and you'll avoid forcing affection when the dog is really asking for space. Number 4, the guilty face that's not guilty. The crime scene is always the same. Shredded tissue, a missing sandwich, a trash can that looks like it lost a fight. Then you look at your dog, and they hit you with that face. Head low, ears back, eyes doing anything except meeting yours. And every owner thinks, good, he knows exactly what he did. Here's the problem. That look is usually not a confession. It's your dog reacting to your tone, your posture, and the fact that the room just turned tense. Dogs are ridiculously good at reading humans, and that guilty look often shows up because they learned what happens next, not because they're replaying the crime in their head. That's why some dogs will pull the same face even when they didn't do anything, as long as you walk in sounding mad. So when you see the guilty face, don't treat it like proof of the crime. Treat it like feedback. Your dog is telling you loud and clear that you've changed the temperature in the room. Number 5. This smile isn't happy. The teeth come out, and people instantly decide it's one of two things: adorable or dangerous. Look, he's smiling, or, is that a snarl? The truth is, dogs can show teeth for totally different reasons, and one of the easiest to misread is the appeasement grin. That smile usually means, I'm not a threat, I'm trying to keep this friendly. You'll also see it when a dog is greeting someone, getting attention, or dealing with a little social pressure. The dog pulls the lips back to show teeth, but the intent isn't to challenge. It's to soften the situation and keep things from escalating. The rest of the body tells you which one you're looking at. In an appeasement grin, the dog stays loose. The eyes look soft, the face isn't tense, and the body may wiggle or dip slightly. In a real warning display, the dog stiffens, the mouth tightens, and the stare gets hard. So don't translate teeth as happy or mean. Translate it as communication, and then read the rest of the dog for the actual message. Number 6. Licking your face isn't a love letter. Face licking is one of those behaviors humans over-romanticize instantly. A dog licks your face and we act like we just got a Valentine. But dogs lick for a bunch of reasons, and affection is only one of the possibilities. A lot of the time, face licking is social management. It can be a greeting. It can be a way to calm the moment down. It can be, hey, I'm here, pay attention to me. Some dogs do it when they're slightly unsure and they're trying to keep things friendly, especially if you're leaning over them, hugging them, or getting in their space. And yes, sometimes it's simply because your skin translates interesting, or you just ate something and they're conducting an investigation. So the lick itself isn't the message. The rest of the dog is. If the body is loose and they choose to stay close, it may be affection. But if they're licking while avoiding your face or looking tense, that's not romance. It's a calming signal. Number 7. The eye white that means back off. If you've ever hugged your dog and they've stared at the camera like they're silently begging for help, you've probably seen whale eye. It's that moment when the head turns away but the eyes stay pinned, and suddenly you can see the whites. Humans capture it like a meme, but the dog is usually broadcasting discomfort. This shows up in everyday stuff that looks harmless to us, like leaning over a dog, getting in their face, cornering them on the couch, kids climbing in close, or even a cute selfie hug. The dog isn't being dramatic. They're trying to keep the situation from escalating without having to growl or snap. You'll often see the rest of the body join in too. The mouth goes tight, the dog gets still, and the movement looks careful, not loose. Once you learn whale eye, you stop pushing through it. You give space, you change your angle, and you let the dog breathe. However, this next signal owners often misread is even sneakier because it looks calm. Number 8. The yawn that means, I'm not okay. Yawning is the perfect disguise because it looks polite. Your dog yawns, and we assume they're bored, sleepy, or just being dramatic. But in a lot of real situations, that yawn is closer to a pressure release. It shows up when the dog is uncomfortable and trying to settle themselves without making a scene. You'll see it when someone is hovering over them, when a stranger reaches in too fast, when you're brushing, trimming nails, taking photos, or repeating a cue while they're getting frustrated. The dog isn't announcing it with noise. They're trying to keep the peace. And the yawn usually isn't alone. It often comes with head turns, slow blinks, a tight mouth right before the yawn, or that little, I'm trying to be good here, stillness. So don't treat yawning as background footage. Treat it as timing. If the yawn appears right when pressure increases, your dog is telling you the moment is too much. Number 9. The blink and you miss it lip lick. The most ignored dog signal is the one you only notice on replay. A quick tongue flick across the nose. A tiny lick of the lips and it's gone. People assume he tastes something and move on. But pay attention to when it happens. It often shows up in those small moments where your dog feels pressure and tries to keep things smooth. You reach in with the leash. You adjust the collar near the face. You lean in to move them off a spot they like. The dog doesn't lunge or growl. They stay good. Instead, they just flash that lick and hold still, like they're waiting to see what you'll do next. That's why it matters. It's early communication, and it's easy to ignore because it's quiet. If you slow down and give them a beat, you can drop the tension before your dog has to make it obvious. Hey, if you enjoyed this, you'll probably love this video here. And if you hit subscribe, I'll donate a meal to a rescue dog on your behalf.